So today I'm working on my 98 Chevy Silverado again, and what I'm working on today is making a mess on the floor, and I'm replacing the radiator or the heater core hoses because they started leaking on me, and I went to go feel the texture of these hoses, and they're worn out. You know, after being right next to the engine, right next to those exhaust manifolds, they get heated up and they get the hot water running through them, and they wear out over time. So this is just another one of those general maintenance things that needs to be done. So of course I wasn't smart enough to try to just drain out the bottom of the radiator first and get a little bit of the water out. I just said, you know what, we're going to go right for it. And I started draining right out of the heater core there and managed to get coolant all over the floor. So I'll get to clean that up later. But I went to Napa and I got a hose, a replacement, and they didn't have the proper one. All they had was the silicone one, and it cost like $10 a foot, but according to the Napa rep, I only have 1 foot right here, so at least I got that going for me. But then this other hose here, that's the one that was actually leaking on me, and it's got a plug on the engine there, and I need to take that out. But you know, just for easier access, I went ahead and took the air box off of here, and I can get my hands in there and work around that way so that I don't have to fight around that. And for the 2 minutes of work that it took to take the air cleaner off there, it's totally worth the effort. So yeah, just going to keep on going at this and see how it goes. On this first hose here, it's just a hose clamp on either side, and this blue one here. And so with these clamps, this style that GM just used stock, basically what it is, you got the oil ring right in the way there. It's just a pliers type fitting. So you take a pliers, press this together, you open that clamp up, and you can slide it down the hose out of the way there. And when you release it, it'll just kind of spring right back into place and hopefully hold that hose tight enough so that it doesn't leak. Generally, these are going to be okay, but if you have too much time pressing them together, what you can do is you can stretch that and they can get worn out. So if you have one of these types and they ended up leaking on you, you might need to replace it with a conventional type hose clamp, which actually happened down here. You can see that's just the regular old screwdriver type one that got put onto the bottom of this hose. So that's just one of those things that you keep a watch on over time. And this one started leaking, so this hose clamp went on there, and it worked for a while, but I think the hose is just getting that bad that it's just deteriorating that much so that it's leaking on me again. So I just decided to go full bore and replace the whole hose, and hopefully I won't have another problem again. So on this other hose here for the heater core, you can see that plug for the heater line right there. It's got these 2 plastic tangs on it, and basically the way this is designed is you just take these tangs, you press them in. You can't really see that, but you press them in, and then you should be able to just pull the hose out. And wow, I broke mine right there. But anyways, I was smart enough to know that I was going to break that, so I got a new one right away. But you can see the inner workings of that. It's just basically a vise so that when you push this hose in, it's stuck in by the plastic tangs there. But when you press those in, those tangs should press in, and you'll be able to pull the hose out. When I say you should be able to press those tangs in and pull the hose out, if yours is as old as mine, the tangs are probably going to break there just like that. And so basically what I'm left with is that the hose is stuck in there, so I'm just going to take the whole coupler off and go from there. So I had to take my breather line off of my valve cover here, get that out of the way to get the wrench in there. But it can free spin in there, so once you get your wrench on there, that can come off, and like you see right here, it comes off, and it's actually not too bad of a deal and should be pretty simple. I already have the other side off, so I'm just gonna put my new hose on and that should be good. And again, just to show how that hose, the end is supposed to be coming out, this end is supposed to be coming out, what I have is here the new one. You can see the tangs in there, and you can see how those tangs are going to go right past this ridge, and then they're going to be just kind of stuck on that so they can't get past until you press those tanks in. When you do, this should be able to pop out and come free. So if you're replacing these a little bit earlier than I am, it should be simple, but if you're at the stage where I'm at, you can just unscrew that cap also, and that'll work. So with me being me, I went ahead and pulled that plastic piece out, and see how it fits right around on that lip there. And when you go in to your plug there, you see that O-ring, so it's going to press in a little bit hard, and then the plastic cap should take over and just hold it into place there. But basically it just presses in and then it's in. There we have it. That side's pressed into place there. Just followed the same routing right back in, and it's getting kind of dark in there, but anyways, I got that hose clamp tightened down on it and everything should be good to go. So now all I have left to do is just refill the radiator with all the coolant that I spilled out onto the floor, and it should be good to go. Just one thing to watch out for is when you pull the hoses off like this, is that if you get any air bubbles in the system, your engine can overheat real easy. So I mean, the best way to do that is if you're topping off the radiator and you just continually slowly add more fluid as the bubbles work their way out. If you're more impatient than that, you can probably get away with just putting it in the overfill tank and hopefully letting the air bubbles work their way out. But you really got to keep an eye on that temperature gauge then, because if you get an air bubble stuck in the engine, then you can lead to a lot more problems. Now I've refilled this and got it full probably 3 or 4 times now, then I spill all over. You get that level up and the bubbles will just work their way out. You can see them coming out still real slow. Once I think I got it full and bubbles are going to stop coming out on me, at that point I'm going to go to my overfill tank. I'm going to overfill that, so there's a cold level, the hot level. I'm going to go 1 or 2 inches past that, and then maybe drive around the block, maybe not too much farther than that, come back and check to see where my level's at. So hopefully that'll work some of the air bubbles out, but I just want to make sure that I get all the air out of the system before I start driving. So I've been driving the truck around for just a little while now, and maybe put 2 or 3 miles on it, I guess, just kind of around in town driving, so stopping and starting. Been keeping a close eye on the temperature gauge this whole time, and it's sitting there just between 100 and 210 about the whole time, so never getting really too hot, never really spiking for me at all. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm probably gotten all the bubbles out. I'm going to keep an eye on the overflow tank and make sure that's got enough coolant in it. But besides that, I call this project done, and I guess I'll wait till the next one comes along.